Today, I want us to have some interesting conversation regarding how do you take control of your money. And for a better reference point, I'll be using the 7 baby steps of Dave Ramsay, because at some point he filed for bankruptcy, but also he was millions of dollars in debt. But if we could come out of it, in these 7 baby steps, he's giving us personal experience, how he managed to get from bankruptcy and also millions in debt. Baby step number 1 talks about us at least saving $1,000 as a starter emergency fund. The main intention for that 1,000 is for you to make sure that if you experience any unexpected expenses, at least you should be capable to cover those expenses. Now, the 1,000 might vary from person to person. So in your own view, you need to determine which amount of money do you need to have on hand, such that this fund will be helping you to sort out any unexpected emergency that happens that you did not even plan. Let us use basic examples. Just imagine a close friend of yours lost somebody dear to them. It's always expected that you would contribute some form of condolence. Now, that starter $1,000 can easily be used to solve such a problem, because remember, this was unexpected, it was unplanned, but that money specifically for such kind of cases. And in your context, you just need to choose, is the 1,000 enough for you? If it's not, then you can always adjust the value not to be 1,000. But if you think the 1,000 is a lot of money, then you can always reduce it. But at least, bottom line, you need to have some money somewhere, whereby in the event of unexpected emergency, you can always go and use that money instead of rushing, let me say, to go and borrow. That takes us to baby step number 2. And here, he's advising us that it's about time you paid off all your loans, with exception of what he calls a mortgage, or in this case, a house loan. Now, on average, majority of people have got a variety of different loans. For example, you might, if you use credit cards, you might be having credit card loans, or you might be having a mortgage, or you might be having car loans, or you might be having student loan. Sometimes they have as many different loans as possible. But no matter the case, his advice is, with exception of a mortgage, if you took money to build your house that you're staying in, with exception of a mortgage, then it's about time we cleared all the other loans. And there's some interesting basic formula he advises us to use. You need to list all the kind of loans that you have, but they should be in the order from the smallest to the largest. And the idea is, we want to start attacking on the smallest as much and as fast as possible. But he also advises, make sure that all the other loans, every single month, you at least pay some minimum amount on them. But the rest of the loan repayment should go to make sure that the smallest is paid off completely. Now, the advantage is that once you pay off the smallest one, it means the money you are using to pay off the smallest one, you can now shift it to start paying the next smallest version. At the end of the day, you'll be surprised how fast you can actually pay off that loan. But now, someone would be wondering, where exactly should I get the money to pay off those loans? There are a variety of options, but I'm just going to discuss the basic 2. If you want to increase the money that remains in your pocket, not that comes, but that remains in your pocket, there are basically 2 principles we can look at. The first side is, if you can reduce on the amount of expenses, then the rest of the money can go on to clear such loans. But remember, that option can only work to a minimum level, because there is a maximum you can save. Beyond that, you can actually save no more money. And that takes me to the next option, and that is, how about you increase the amount of money that comes to your pocket? This can be, maybe you're getting a new job, maybe you're getting a new side hustle, maybe at your own workplace, maybe you're finding ways how can you get a raise, or if you're a business person, you want to see how exactly can you increase on your business, maybe getting new customers. But bottom line, it can be actually the easiest, fastest way to increase the money that remains in your pocket. That is with an option that the money that is increasing, you're not again increasing your expenses, but instead you want to use that money to go towards paying off as many debts as possible. Because trust me, I'm going to do an interesting video on debt, but debt can be the worst prison you can ever be locked in. So the earlier you get out of that prison, the better, especially consumption loans, because on average, we talk about consumption loans, because productive loans, those ones are better. But when it comes to consumption loans, they are adding no value to you, but at the end of the day, they are making your life extremely miserable, more or less like a person who's locked up in a prison. So we need to find ways to make sure that we get out of that prison as fast as possible. So in his view, if you can start with the smallest loan, but also making sure that you're paying some minimum amounts on the rest of the loans, along the way you'll be surprised how fast you'll be paying off those loans. And that takes us to baby step number 3, and that is save at least 3 to 6 months of your living expenses into a fully funded emergency fund. Now, remember, at first we saved a starter emergency fund just for those small emergencies, but now here we are looking at bigger emergencies. In the event something big or a big event happened, you don't have to go back into debts because you have at least 3 to 6 months of your living expenses. Let me just give you an example. In the event you lost a job, that would mean that you can easily draw on these 3 to 6 months as you look for a new job. It could be another kind of emergency. Just imagine, maybe you experienced an accident whereby you are incapable of working for a specific period of time. Now, this money, which is 3 to 6 months, can easily help you in that period without you going back into debts, but also sustaining your mental health because you'll be at peace given the fact that you already have enough money in your emergency fund. But also the other biggest advantage, you have to remember that when it comes to Dave, he's not telling you save only 3 to 6 months. Feel free to customize this because you are the best person who knows which kind of expenses you incur. But how do you get these expenses actually? All you need to do is take a pen, a paper, and then list every single expense that you most likely incur in a single month. Then you decide how much money or how many months should I save in an emergency fund whereby I will sleep happily with peace that in the event of anything, at least I have this amount of money in this emergency fund. It can be, some people, 3 months can be okay, 6 months can be okay. Others can need maybe a full year. So customize it to the best of your abilities. What do you prefer? Then do exactly that. Don't go with 3 to 6 months. Do what you think makes you happy. And that will take us to baby step number 4. Remember, at least we already have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months. We have already paid off most of the debts, but now it's about time to start thinking about our retirement. Baby step number 4 talks about you starting to invest at least 15% of the household income into a retirement fund, because now it's about time you prepare for your old age. At least 15% of your household income should be going towards your pension or your retirement fund. But remember, still, like I said before, it does not have to be 15%, because to some people, maybe 15% is a lot of money. Start with where you can afford. If it is 1%, go with 1%. If it is 5, go with 5. If it is 10, go with 10. If it's 15, go with 15. But the best way to do it, if God has blessed you and you have quite more resources on you, you're privileged to bring in more money, then save as much money as possible. If you want, some people actually go to saving even as high as 70-80% of their household income because they have been blessed, and they maximize that window when they have been blessed to make sure that they prepare for their retirement. And that also, remember, the more you're saving more or bigger percentage, the more likelihood that you can choose to retire as early as possible. But if you don't, then you're more likely to work maybe even beyond your retirement time. Because remember, once you reach your retirement age, it's about you to decide, do I just want to work or do I have to work? Because if you're in a situation whereby you have to work, it means, unfortunately, the amount of money you have in your retirement fund is not enough to sustain your lifestyle in your retirement. But now that takes us to baby step number 5. Remember, you already have the emergency fund of 3 to 6 months or whatever you choose. You have already now started investing for your retirement. Now it's about time we think about our children. That is, if you have. It's about time you set up that college fund for your children. As a father, as a mother, as a parent, there is no better gift you're going to give your children than making sure that they leave college, they leave their higher education debt-free. Because all around the world now, most of the people who can afford the best schools possible, unfortunately, they have to incur as much debt as possible for them to be capable to get those degrees. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, they take again a long period of time for them to clear out those loans. So to save them, because the moment you clear and you pay all their college fees and you make sure that they leave school debt free, you have already given them a mileage to other people who already have debt. Because those who have debt, remember, the first thing they're going to start doing, they will be in baby step number 2 to make sure they clear their student loans. But now, for you, you have already given them a mileage. They are way ahead because they don't have to clear any more debts. They will start most likely to invest the money because they are debt free, maybe except the mortgage. So it's about time, if you can, plan for your children's school fees as early as possible, and there's no better way to do it than today. If you can, please start to plan for your children's school fees as early as possible, because you want to buy as much time as possible, because when you buy time, you're buying compounding, and by extension, you're buying money, because that money will already be working for you more money, and by the time your children need that money, it will be quite a lot. And surprisingly, if you have built a strong college fund, you'll be shocked that it will be enough not only for your children, but even for your grandchildren. And you have passed on a very strong message and a very strong lesson, not only to your children, but your grandchildren. Please always prepare for your children. Give them some mileage, give them some heads up to make sure that when they are going to college, they are free, because they know all of it is fully funded. And at the end of the day, but you can also give them a speed to make sure that they also start to invest and also plan for the future college funds of their children. So if you want, today is the best day. You should make a decision that my children will not incur any debt in their education, because I'm going to fund it. And if possible, if you start early, you can even afford not only to fund for your children, but also for the children of your children. Now that takes us to baby step number 6. Remember, now you have the 3 to 6 months emergency fund, or whatever you have chosen. You have already started on your retirement. At least 15% of the household income is going towards retirement. The college fund is already being funded. It's about time we go back to baby step number 2. Now we need to go and sort out the monster we left behind, and that was the debt you left on your house. If you have a debt on your house, if you have a loan on your house, if you have a mortgage on your house, now it's the time we face the monster and make sure that we want to sleep in that house debt free. We want to sleep in peace. We want to sleep without thinking about foreclosure, because we want to pay off this debt. Now, transfer all your energy, transfer all your pain, transfer everything that you have towards making sure that we now clear that debt. Because trust me, in this wonderful, beautiful world, there is nothing better than sleeping under your roof, well knowing that that house, you 100% have ownership of it, because you already paid the debt on that specific house. So go all out in this baby step number 6. Go all in, and make sure that the monster called a debt is now no longer your issue, because that was the only remaining debt. You paid off all the other debts except your house. So it's about time you approach your bank, have a conversation with them, and see how best can you benefit from early repayments, because there are benefits sometimes whereby you benefit if you paid your mortgage as early as possible. But in the event there is no benefit, then take your peace of mind as the best benefit you're going to get by paying off your mortgage. If you have any loans, please, if you have any loans on your house, maximize baby step number 6 and make sure that you clear it as early as possible. There is nothing more peaceful than making sure that you're sleeping in your house whereby you 100% own it. And once you have done that, it would imply you are completely debt free. You are no longer a slave of debt. Trust me, debt is like a prison, and unfortunately, you are the prisoner. Debt, I'll repeat it, debt is like a prison, and unfortunately, you are the prisoner, which on average, it is voluntary. So you have to fight hard, work hard, have that vision in you to make sure that you no longer want to be in a prison, and the only way you can get out of it is to work hard and work towards that goal and pay off your debt, such that you are free, just like an eagle. You are free now to fly as far as you want. And that is when we go to the final baby step. And that is, now it's about time to build the wealth and also increase our giving. Remember, when it comes to giving, it doesn't matter how generous you are. You can never give what you don't have. This one, every one of us needs to understand it. It does not matter how generous you are. If you don't have anything to give, no one can ever see that you are a giver. But also, worst of all, your heart can never give because you have nothing to give. So for any person out there who thinks they are generous, just try out a moment when you'll be debt free. You'll be surprised how much you're giving, how much your generosity will increase, because you will now have a lot of resources on you and you have to choose how and when and where to do with it. At the end of the day, because now we are in a wealth building phase, the wealth building stage, at this moment you are debt free. Now it's up to you to use the money as you want, whenever you want, because it's not up to be paid for debt. You already have your pension or retirement fund. You already paid for the college, for the college fund for your children. Now what more? It's about time. Use it the way you want. Do you want to enjoy it? Enjoy it. Do you want to use it to build more wealth? Build. Do you want to give it out to other people? Give it out, because now there is nothing that can scare you in this wonderful world. And this is the stage when legacies are built. Baby step number 7 is when your legacy is cemented, because this is when you build the wealth, not only for you, like the Bible says, but also the wealth, what we call generational wealth, the wealth of your children's children. Not only for your children, no, for your children's children. This is when the grandchildren will come and say, our parents worked hard and they built for us this, and most likely you prepared them also to prosper and fly more than you had ever flown. So when you reach baby step number 7, take time, celebrate, enjoy it, because you have worked hard, you have earned it, you are now debt free. It's about time for you to enjoy it as much as possible, but also it's also about time to make sure that you don't stop, because now is when your legacy will be known. Now is when it will be determined whether you were a failure or not, but also this is when you can give direction to how you want your life to be remembered. Do you want to be remembered as the greatest giver? Do you want to be remembered as the person who built the wealth for not only for the children but for the children's children? This is also time maybe you can start to mentor other people. That's why Dave wrote this, because at the end of the day, he had passed through it. He went dead broke, he became bankrupt, he was millions in debt, but it was about time to be like, how do I give back? How do I make sure that other people can understand it from the pain I went through, such that for them, they can never go through the same pain I went through. So if you follow these steps, you'll be surprised. But remember, some people agree with them, some people disagree with them. But on average, those who disagree with them is because most likely they have already made it. So if you are out there, maybe you've been struggling with debt, it's about time you try to follow out these 7 steps. You'll be surprised that indeed you'll have the capacity and the capability to make sure that you clear off the debt and actually you build your wealth debt free. But it all starts with you. It all starts by you taking the decision to say, from today, I'm going to fight to be debt free. But not only debt free, today I'm going to fight to make sure that I become wealthy. Not only you, but also your children, because you have the college fund, but also the other people around you, because you're going to have a giving, generous heart. And you can only do that if you have extra resources to spare and give out to those in need. So for anyone out there, I would want to know, which step do you think you should prefer to start with? Which step makes more sense for you? Where do you want to change? Because as I've said, this is not in black and white. You can actually change it. You can customize it. Actually, the best way is customize it to fit within your needs. Because for example, if I don't have debt, then I don't have to look out for the stages or for the steps whereby I'm paying debt. I will look out for the stages whereby I'm more of building the wealth. So every person can qualify to use these 7 baby steps, but it's about you to customize them to the way you feel fits you best. But at the end of the day, I've said it before, it is all about you to decide today is the last day you'll be in debt, but also don't just talk, you start to take action to make sure that indeed today will be the day you remember that on this day, I decided to choose to get out of debt, but also I decided to grow wealth, not only for myself, but also for my children and my children's children.